It is just an honor and a privilege to be in Tel Aviv, Israel, podcast interviewing Dr. Boaz Hetsroni, the CEO of Implant Driver. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm okay.
So you're a real live dentist. So introduce yourself. Tell them your journey.
I'm a general dentist. Like a few years ago, I had the problem with using hand driver in patient mouths for manipulating the abutment or prosthetic parts on the implants. And I worked few years to develop this tool. This is the implant driver. It replaces the need of a hand driver while taking care of the prosthetic parts on the implants. And the advantage of the tool over using a hand driver can be...
Okay, now what is a hand driver? Is that...
Hand driver is, yes, the...
When you use it with your hand. That's interesting. I mean, it's so obviously a hand driver, but I never heard it called a hand driver. Just like you call dental distributors depots.
Yeah.
Dental depots.
Hand driver is the only thing you can use when you work on patient mouth. There are also torque devices to tighten the screw after it is located within the abutment into the implant. But there is no such tool like a screwdriver. So during the development, I had to find few things about how those tiny screws are behaving. And so I didn't know where this research is going. And during the development, I changed the direction of the research to find a specific tool that is doing few things for the patient and the dentist as well. In terms of speed, safety, and comfort, there is nothing to compare between using a hand driver, which is the common use of every dentist in the world, to this driver.
So what were your problems in hand driving?
Hand driver have few problems. First of all, the patient opens his mouth very wide because you need to put your hand over the grip of the hand driver. Your hand is in patient mouth, so the opening mouth is very big, but this tool can reduce this problem for half of the patient mouth opening is needed for manipulating the parts like healing the abutments or the abutments or the transfer coping which are needed.
And some are so hard, like in the second molar, like the other day, I couldn't even, my hands, I couldn't even do it. I had my dental assistant do it because she could get her little fingers back there.
Especially if the implant is in angulated position. Of course, all the posterior area in patient mouth is very, the access is difficult.
So have you ever heard of John McSpadden? What year did you get out of dental school? What year did you graduate from dental school?
No, just I learned biology, but when I started this project,
so you're not a dentist?
Yes, I was just this regular dentist. I had no idea about mechanism, about development, about patents, about anything.
But you're a dentist, though.
Yes, of
course. But what year did you graduate from dental school?
I graduated in Israel, you mean? Hebrew
what
University.
Year?
In 1994.
Okay, 94.
Yes.
So I got out in 87. John McSpadden was he was an endodontist before there was a specialty of endodontics. But he was in Chattanooga, Tennessee. He was a big man. How tall are you?
180.
Is that 6 foot? You're over 6 foot.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
something.
And he had the same problem. He couldn't get those. He couldn't he was a 6'6" man.
Yeah.
He couldn't get his big hands and those
Yeah.
files in the back teeth. So he was actually came out with the McSpadden instruments,
Yeah.
and he had engine-driven NiTi files
Yeah.
back in the early '80s. But necessity was the mother of invention. He used to always tease that if he would have been born 5'1", there wouldn't have been engine-driven handpiece. But he had to invent those. And he was, like I say, he was an endodontist before there was endodontists. And when they came out with a specialty of endodontists, they grandfathered a lot of those guys in because they're practicing in endo. So it sounds like you have the same story where this was this invention came from a necessity of your big hands and a small mouth.
Yeah, but it's not only big hands in terms of safety, because those tiny screws tend to fall in patient mouth. So what I found out with this speed, the driver tip catching the screw and taking the screw by itself from the model to patient mouth and back, or any part. And so in terms of safety, that's like a big change for anyone, not just for someone who has big hands or so far.
Yeah. So show them how it works.
Okay, I'll show you. So first of all, the dentists are usual has this pen grip. So it's like I change this because when you hold a device from above it, you can control both buttons. One button is forward, one button is the reverse. If I want to take a screw out of the implant, like if it's a healing cap or a abutment, I press reverse. I hold the device and press reverse continuously. I go near the screw, but I don't have to look where is the screw, because if it's in posterior area, I might not see it at all. So I don't see even where is the hex, but the device is taking the screw out of the implant, and then usually you have a trying procedure that you put for example, the healing cup out of patient mouth. Then you go to the model, you take the abutment, you put it in patient mouth and back. All those actions are really like 30 times in out that you need for one implant, until you get to the point that you have to tighten the screw. This tightening action is done by like about 30, usually 30 Newton centimeter is needed. But for all the in-out procedure, you need like half of it, and it doesn't matter if it's 12 or 15. You just want that the patient will not lose the healing cup while he's between the appointments. Again, this is the organizer which I developed for the system. So as you see, it collects the parts. It collects the left, right, upper or lower jaw, depends. So if you have 10 implants with the patient, it takes like 1 minute to take all the healing cups out, put them in a specific order, and then you go back. You take the part. For example, if it's a healing cup or temporary abutment, you go to patient mouth. Again, you press reverse. You go near the implant, and that is another thing. The driver will locate the implant no matter what is the angulation or the position of the implant, or how deep the gums, because sometimes if the gums are very deep, you can't even see where is the implant. It's just obscured by the gums. So even if it's 6 millimeter, it will be the same thing. The driver will do that for automatically. It finds the position of the implant and then put the parts in patient mouths on the implants. So as you see, it doesn't matter what is the location of the implant. It takes like 3 seconds to find a part to put it in or out of the implant.
It's very impressive that you're a dentist.
Yeah.
You had a problem,
Yeah.
and you actually made a solution. I mean, that's pretty rare. I mean, not many dentists start a company to solve a problem. So that problem must have really annoyed you. Or talk about
I think many dentists I know from my clients, from the users, are having all the same problems that they said to me. Oh, I was thinking about that before, but I think the way from thinking about it to getting to the invention is a very long way. And I know that it takes years. It's not something that an idea comes to you and you are solving it by not before you make thousands of experiments.
Well, I really admire you because, most people just want to be a critic. They want to sit on the couch and tell you what they like or don't like. Yeah. And the truth is they've never done anything. And I love, the critics are a dime a dozen and almost useless. I love the people like yourself who they have a problem. They're like, well, I'm gonna get a shovel and start shoveling and solve it. So how long did it take from idea to actually having a product? And when was the idea? When did you deliver the product? How long have you been selling it?
I worked of course with a few people because I had to gather all the information, but most of the ideas came from myself. But still, I was lucky to meet people from machining or other people that could suggest me things along the way. But actually it took I think something like 2 years to get to the prototype, and then 1 year or 2 years to get to the product itself. But still, even today, after a few years, you need to solve problems, change things. It costs money. It's not easy, even after you have something, because in any part you produce now, if you ask it after a few years, maybe there are changes. It's kind of tens of millimeters for every part in the product that you have to control the production all the time. So it's not one time and you put on the shelf 1,000 pieces or something like that.
It's like raising a child.
It's like doing the studying of 6 years again. I think the knowledge I gather is more than was in the dental school.
So are you successfully selling it?
Yes, I'm selling it after I tried. It was not easy to start, but I started with experts in Israel and hospitals and dental schools, and actually all of them today are using the device.
Now, when you say hospitals, in Israel, most of the DSOs are connected to a hospital, correct?
Okay.
Or would you say that?
No, hospitals have the maxillofacial surgery department. Some of them has a prosthetic department, dental prosthetic department. So it can be one hospital are using 3 devices for each department. Depends on the.
But the point I was making is that I feel like in Israel, the dental chains are where you have a lot of the DSOs or HMOs are more connected. Dental and medical are more connected than say in the United States. Like in the United States, you can have 1,000 dental offices, but they have no connection to a hospital. But here, they seem to be more connected to the dentists and the physicians The DSOs is what would you call it?
They're connected to the HMOs here in Israel.
So the DSOs are connected to the HMOs.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yes. The most dentists are they have private practice, so there are not much offices that are connected together with the one owner or something like that.
Well, there's what, three?
Max.
Three in Israel?
Are you speaking about the DSO?
Yeah.
The DSOs are Klalit Maccabi Me'ochedet, yes.
Okay.
Interesting. So, so are you selling this much in the United States, in Canada?
Not in Canada, but I have a few customers in even in NYU,
NYU?
in New York, but it's like sporadic. It's not someone that came like I want to buy like a few dozen or something like that. So it's like private clinic. It's like working.
So
step by
how
step.
have you been trying to enter the United States market? What have your biggest challenges or successes been?
Yeah, I participated last year in New York.
At the Greater New York meeting?
Yeah, great in New York.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
did you do? Did you have a booth?
I had a booth, but
Was that
still-
worth the time and money?
for a dentist, usually it won't be like working as in the office. So I manage my time and I try to limit myself because I cannot spend too much time on this effort for finding the customers. So I'm trying because in Israel, like implant companies are spread, of course, in other countries. So I had few opportunities to join them for this part of the selling part, and not trying to do it myself. I mean,
And how much does the implant driver cost?
the implant driver is if you are we are talking about the set that includes the organizer and the driver. The price is about $1,800.
$1,800 US dollar.
US dollar. It includes the driver with batteries that you don't change. Only after 2 years you just change battery and continue. You don't have to charge the device. So it's like 10,000 in out until the battery are finished. So includes the driver, the 3 driver tips in 3 lenses, and the organizer. This is the price. If someone wants to buy only the driver, it should be is like $300 less.
And who do you make that? Do you manufacture the driver?
Actually, I do that, but of course, I have help from another company that supporting the production of plastics, for example. But in the manufacturing phase, I have suppliers for many parts, like one from US, this silicone from US, this from China, this from. So
And they
it's
were
like
just-
gathering everything to one place to assemble the device.
Yeah, that's how cars are made. I mean, like in America, the average car has 30,000 pieces.
Yeah.
The car company doesn't make any of the pieces, and it's just the final assembly.
Yeah.
So when people say, well, I want to buy an American car, well, they don't know where the 30,000 parts came from. And most car experts say that the origin of the car is not even hardly correlated with the country. I mean, a German car might have as many parts and pieces made around the world. So, has this been a fun journey for you? I mean, looking back, do you wish you never would have had this idea, or are you glad you went down this path?
No, I'm glad I did it, and actually, I have a cooperation with the other companies that wanted me to develop another tool similar to this for orthodontic screws, if you want. It's like, but it's not a screwdriver. It's it's like it needs more power and should be a slower one, so it's like a bigger device. So I'm not. I don't regret for anything I did, but I still hope I can make money also from that and not just enjoy the way.
Well, you're talking to a lot of Americans and Canadian dentists right now. Are you looking for what are you looking for in the United States? Are you looking for more customers? Are you looking for distributors? Are you looking for an implant company?
Actually, I'm looking for more customers that they can make direct order from the company. But if someone want to invest on the whole thing, so of course I can think about that.
Have you shown this to any of the major implant companies?
Of course, the implant companies in Israel are famous, of course, in other parts of the world.
What's the most famous implant company?
MIS.
MIS stands for Make It Simple.
Yeah, yes.
And that's owned by Danaher, right?
Yes.
Noble Biocare bought MIS.
Yes.
And then Danaher bought them, and then they spun
this is
them off.
like Alpha Bio. So they are like MIS, Alpha Bio, AB Dental are the biggest one. There is Paltop, who is corporate with the Keystone, this American.
Right. So the big three were MIS,
Alpha Bio, and AB Dental,
and then Palo Dental. So have you shown it to those four?
They know everything, and we had negotiations during the years, but we didn't succeed. I mean,
so then you're still decided to sell direct.
Nowadays, yes, this is the only way to survive.
To survive?
Yeah.
Well, that's neat. I hope there's somebody in America or Canada or Australia listening to this that might if someone has a question of this or wants thought on, do you have on the website? Do you have videos?
Everything, yeah. Clinical video.
And what's the website?
Website implant.com.
And explain the name implant, because the O is actually the hex.
Implant is like connection between the word and plant. So it's like implant. I changed to implant because of the word, from the Indian Tibetan word
Okay.
Okay.
And what does that word mean in Tibet?
It's a kind of word to concentrate yourself, put it in like a position of mind that is tranquil and concentrate the soul.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Namaste. I think that's very creative, implant. But it's the external. It's the hex too.
Yes, the hex.
The hex.
The outer.
Making
the logo.
Making the hex is the logo, making the sound
Really.
Plant. Very, very nice. I have to tell you, like I say, I wish I had this last week. I mean, it's so hard. And then if you drop it on the floor, then you're expected to go sterilize. I mean, it's a problem. And the bigger the person, the harder it is to do that. And then if they swallow it or aspirate it, now standard of care is you have to go to get a chest X-ray to make sure that they passed it, and that's crazy.
For anyone who used that, it's like another word for themselves, because it replaces like so much headache and problem with the hand. Because if you work like that all day or something, it's really hurts.
And how long have you been placing implants?
I started in 1996 or something, after I did internship in maxillofacial surgery in Rambam Hospital in Haifa.
Does that make you an oral surgeon?
No, it's not. It's only 1 year.
Yeah.
So I spent a little bit more in the hospital, and then I went to US. I did a dental licensure in California, just by going and come back like 4 times for the exams. I didn't.
And
I had no plan because I thought of maybe studying in the US.
so
I
you
thought maybe
so you got the US ID program?
Yes.
And how was that journey?
It was difficult.
It was difficult.
Yeah, difficult because it's like 4 exams. I spent 2 exams were in New York. Then in California, there is the bench test and the clinical test, which I failed the first time because you need to bring your patients to the exams. It's
So that
not
was
easy
that was
doing
to get licensed in the United States?
Yeah, licensure. Yeah.
So are you licensed in the United States?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the clinical exam, I mean, rule number 1 on a test is that it has to be standardized. So bringing your own patient, how is your patient standardized?
There was someone there who organized the patients. Brought them, by flight to San Francisco.
That's the answer. It's money. That guy. Somebody's making money. Money's the answer. What's the question? And if the test was standardized, it would be written or on a mannequin or something where everybody had the same. But it's corruption by having you have to do it on your own patient.
Yeah.
So you can
what I remember is that you bring like Mexican patients and making holes in the teeth just to put the feeling and say, it's the perfect feeling, but initially there was no.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. I mean, if the dentist can't figure out what a standardized exam is, then let's just get rid of all exams. I mean, there's just no hope. But money's the answer. What's the question? So you are licensed in the United States.
Actually, yeah.
So have you ever been tempted to move to the United States or
no?
Because you were born. Where you were born.
Because when I started that, I could not think of another thing, so I changed my mind of like going to study in the US. So maybe one day.
Maybe one day
when I will be old.
Well, this is a beautiful country. I can see why. I mean, my hotel is right on the beach. In Phoenix, I can't see water anywhere I look. All I see is sand. But this is a gorgeous country. So on your implant journey, when the kids come out of dental school, they've been to college 8 years. They're $285,000 in debt, and they say, Howard, I've never placed one implant. And what advice would you give to the young kids who come out of school and want to get into implants, but they paid for their whole dental degree and never placed one? What advice would you give them?
I think the universities here are changing the program, so there will be an opportunity for anyone to place or just participate in placing implants before he finishes dental school. But anyway, there are so many courses outside, so he can do anything with the companies that will fund this when you buy from them.
So how many years have you been placing implants?
Like 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
And do you think any implant systems are better than others? If she wanted to ask you, if she says, come on, Boaz, just tell me, if I could only buy one implant system, which one would it be?
I changed the implant system a few times, so I don't think because they are copying for one another. So if it depends for anyone, his decision. I cannot recommend one implant system that is the best. But of course, there are maybe different, but it's not so important. And anyway, this what is important here that I needed to do that like a universal tool. So what I did is I had to check all the implant threads to see that we have answer in the organizer to collect all kinds of screws. So this is like the universal screws 1.72, and they are for bigger screw like M2 from Nobel, or narrow platform screws have smaller diameter, so it needs to to answer all kinds of systems. And also the driver tip, it can be changed, because if you use Nobel, you have star grip. If you use Straumann, there is their own driver tip. But you can use all the systems with this tool. You just have to use their own driver tip in the driver.
And what if someone said, what if someone at school said, well, we don't even need that because couldn't we just cement the implants instead of screwing them down? The final restoration.
Uh-huh.
Do you cement your final restorations, or do you like to screw them in?
You mean you want to put the final restoration when in the first or second appointment?
Mm-hmm.
You can do it, because I got those ideas from people. So I can answer that you can do anything that you want, but it is not the protocol of how to do that in a good and perfect way. So if you are looking at the protocols, you see after placing the implant, you put a temporary abutment or healing cup. After that, you have parts like the transfer coping. You need to take impression properly. You need to do a lab model. If you don't want to work not with lab model, not with anything, just to put something, of course it will not work as if you are working.
Do you think screw retained restorations are more precise, exact, and better protocol than cemented?
There is tend to change the ideas about what is better. During the years, I prefer to use cemented restoration, because then you don't see the hole in the middle of the crown. But cemented, but screw retained restoration, of course, are easier to remove. If you have problem, you can just open the screw. You don't have to use hammer to take the restoration out.
And I haven't really had success tapping off cemented implants. A lot of times you have to drill them off. Are you always able to tap them off?
The implant, or
the cemented restoration?
Cemented restoration? Why, you had problem to take it out because it was cemented too hard?
Yeah. I haven't been able to tap them off.
I use like pneumatic hammer that usually can handle that, even if it's cemented with the. Usually it's not more than IRM, so it's usually enough to use a hammer like that to take the.
So this was a challenge you had with implants, and you created a fantastic world-class innovation, and I think it's just so interesting. What other challenges have you had in implant dentistry that you've had to overcome with a lot of effort?
You mean clinical? Clinical. I had challenges with sometimes with class 3 skeletal discrepancy, that you need to use the implants are located in very difficult position, so you have to compensate from the position of the implant. Like, for example, the implant are usually, if the palate is too small, the implant will be located far from the teeth. So it's difficult to find the right position of the permanent restoration before you are starting the final restoration. So I think this is the most difficult cases, but usually the cases are more or less similar to each other. So I'm not enthusiastic about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what other questions do you think the dentists in America would want to know about this product?
I think they should know that this is a universal device. They can use it to all the implant systems, and
Does it speed up chair time?
yes, of course, it's like the speed of the device. We didn't discuss what the speed of the device is 200 rounds per minute, while torque device are using 25 rounds per minute. So it means you need, if you use like torque device for screw in or out, it takes like 15 or 20 seconds to open or close screw. So it's ridiculous to use this. This is 200 rounds per minute. It's like almost 10 times more speed than torque device like NSK, WNH, all of them. The torque is like the torque that is needed to all the in-out procedure. So they don't have to ask question about the torque because it's not a torque device, it's a screwdriver. If they want to use the hand driver after the abutment is in place, they can do that by themselves, but it's very easy to tighten the screw while he's already there.
Well, I'm just so proud of you that you were able to become a dentist, and that when you had a problem, you solved it. And you're a doctor of dentistry, and you're the CEO and owner of an implant driver. And I think I hope the next generation of dentists, instead of sitting on the couch and being critics, get up and you're an inspiration to them. And the best products, that's why we started this seminar, the best products are made out of necessity. And John McSpadden couldn't hold a file in the back of the mouth, so he made engine-driven. Mm-hmm. And that was the first one I had back in '87, the engine-driven endodontic file deal. And I just bought it because my fingers were so sore. You're just hand filing all day long. Mm-hmm. And this device you have, I wished I had it last week. I mean, like I say, I always feel bad when I have to have the assistant do the work.
I know that
because
I know that anyone who uses that, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, he cannot go back to hand driver because it's so dangerous to lose a screw in patient mouth or something.
Well, I know it when I see it, and I think you did a fantastic job. I'm all excited, and I hope you post some cases on Dental Town, and hopefully you'll meet some colleagues in the United States and Canada. So it's so how do you pronounce your name? Boaz Hetsroni?
Boaz.
Boaz Hetsroni? Hetsroni just sounds so Italian. It sounds like pepperoni. Are you Italian? Or is this
Polish.
The name? Polish.
The origin, but yes, it's not the original name because my father changed the name from Filer to Hetsroni. So Hetsroni is came from a profession of his father in Poland. It was a gardener or something like that.
So your grandfather changed the name?
Yes, my father.
Your father?
My father, yes.
And why did he change the name?
I think few years after a marriage or something.
Few years after marriage. I'm pretty sure my father changed the name. We're Irish. I'm pretty sure it was.
My daughters wants to change the name back to
Yeah.
Filer because they say it's better because it's Ronnie maybe sounds like Yemen, Yemen Jews or something. So they want to go back to the older name.
That is interesting.
And I agree.
I actually love name originating. When you travel around, I remember the first time I went to Poland.
Yeah.
The first thing I did when I got back is call one of my high school buddies and said, "Hey Jim, is there any chance you're Polish?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, I'm 100% Polish, but I went through high school with them 4 years, and you just don't. Everybody's from Kansas. In America, everyone's a mutt. Everybody's from somewhere else." And going around the world and seeing all the names and the origination, I've always been fascinated by that. But so Boaz Hetsroni sounds like a Hollywood name, and his website is Implant. So it's OMPLANT. So go to omplant.com. What if they have a question? How would they contact you? What's the best way for them to contact you?
I answer any email.
And so what's your email address?
Omplant@gmail.com.
At implant.
Omplant@gmail.com.
And what did he say earlier? Implant?
Strudel.
Strudel is a sign.
Strudel.
Yeah, and you call that a strudel?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. So say it again. So it's Implant
Omplant@ gmail.com.
And your word learning for the day was that is called strudel. And okay, well, Boaz, thank you so much for coming over and talking to the dentist today.